The information in this video is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Please make informed decisions and take responsibility for your own health choices.
Some of the research around it is that even if you work out in the morning for 45 minutes or an hour, but you're sitting the rest of the day, you are still at the same health risk, as somebody who does not do that workout and sits all day.
Hey everyone, just a quick note before we start. There's a short moment near the beginning where the audio drops out. I've added captions for that part in the video, so if you're listening on audio only, you can check it out on YouTube or Spotify to see what was said. This show is made possible through my work with doTERRA. If you're curious about simple, natural ways to care for your health and home, or even exploring the possibility of building your own wellness business, check out my website at newviewessentials.com. You'll find a link in the show notes to learn more. Thanks for listening. Let's get into the conversation. Hi, I'm Sherilyn, and welcome to New View, New Life, where we explore enlightening, empowering new perspectives and simple, natural ways to care for your body, mind, and home as you create a vibrant, balanced, and abundant life that you love. Today I'm talking with Lea Wiens, a clinical exercise psychologist, master facilitator, and lifelong advocate for physical literacy. With over 30 years of experience, Lea creates accessible, purpose-driven movement experiences that meet people exactly where they are. Her mission is to help people reconnect with their bodies, not through pressure, but through presence. We'll be exploring her concept of movement snacks and how small, intentional bursts of movement can boost energy, mood, and overall well-being. Lea, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm excited to learn more about your journey and how you started on this path. You're so passionate. I love that about movement and helping people incorporate it more into their lives. What inspired you to focus on movement snacks and helping people to integrate these mini movements throughout their day?
Yeah, I kind of laugh about that because I've been working in health and fitness since I was 16 years old, and I'm in my 50s now. So it's been a long career, obviously something that was a calling for me. And so I started when I was 16 years old. I was a lifeguard at our local swimming pool, and one of the head guards said, Lea, tomorrow you're teaching aqua size. And I was like, what? And I went home and I made myself a mixtape and I practiced in my, routines all night. I did the class the next day and I was absolutely hooked on it. I just loved everything about it, from planning it to working with the ladies to being able to take extra time to, have a shower afterwards and just like have that little mental break in my day. And so I was kind of hooked from there. It sparked me into a phys ed degree. And so the culmination of this 35 plus year into snap, which is kind of important. Investments made, society, and even individually in our health and fitness, we're still not active. Physical activity is still are the leading causes of death and illness in our society. And so, so I just feel like we need to do this, and it's going to be the gateway, I think, to a healthy lifestyle. If we can just do 5 minutes instead of thinking of 30 minutes, 40, 60, and some really structured routine program, let's start with 5 minutes. And if you add up 5-minute increments 3 times a week, 5 times a week, over a month, like your health is going to improve, right? Mental health, physical, all of it. So
yeah, I was absolutely thrilled when I learned about this idea, and it was like a light bulb for me, an aha moment, because traditional idea of workouts can be intimidating. Was there a moment when you realized that people needed something simpler than traditional workouts?
absolutely. I think, again, it's more of even colleagues and friends who also have careers in the same like wellness industry that struggle with it themselves if they're working in a more administrative role, and they're saying, oh, like I drove to work, I sat all day, I know I need to move. These are people who are educated that are still not doing it. So we can't take this for granted that if we know better, we do better. We need to create like a space and environment that encourages movement. And so the other impetus, I guess, that really reinforced it for me was, well, I guess, again, two things. One is when I went from more of sort of less teaching to more consulting and writing content, I started to notice the effects on my own body and how that changed. And then also through a company that is a fully remote company who hired me to do a movement snack challenge. And the light bulbs that went on, just kind of similar to what you experienced in, oh, my employer is actually encouraging me to get up and do a movement snack or to start a meeting with a movement break, things like that, right? And so then I realized this is like wildfire. Like we need to get this going and give people permission to stand up and move because we all know it. We all need to do it. We just maybe need those reminders. So
yeah, definitely. It's one thing to know it. It's another thing sometimes to fit it into a busy day. So for someone new to the concept, what exactly is a movement snack or exercise snack, as some people call them?
yeah, exactly. So it's a 5-minute break. And I mean, this is how I've defined it. The research also defines it that way. But you can expand it for sure to longer, but it's a minimum of a 5-minute break away from your screen and ideally out of a chair. So we know, well, I don't know if we all know, but computers were not designed for our bodies. They were designed to do the work, right? But they weren't designed, and they ergonomically have not changed in design since they were created however many, almost 40, 50 years or more years ago. And so computers and screens are breaking down our bodies and our minds, our eyes, like the research is clear on this. The shape of our eyes start to change because we're looking so close at a screen. Our posture, as I'm hunching forward, our posture,
Yeah.
right? Our mental capacity just from sitting. So the idea of getting up and taking a 5-minute break away from your desk is so important. And again, we just need the reminders to do it. So some of the research around it is that even if you work out in the morning for 45 minutes or an hour, but you're sitting the rest of the day, you are still at the same health risk as somebody who does not do that workout and sits all day. So you may hear the
Wow.
concept of like sitting is the new smoking. And there is a lot of research behind that. So the one study that Columbia University did was they had people get up either every 30 minutes or every 60 minutes or every 2 hours and do a 5-minute, just easy walk around their house, like 2 miles an hour, nothing strenuous, just got up. And they noticed like a 40% reduction in blood sugar. So, if you eat your lunch and
Oh my
the
goodness.
blood sugar just sits in there, it breaks down, and then you feel really, you got to get the sugar high and the crash. And how do
Yeah.
we metabolize that glucose in our system? People's blood pressure went down by 25 points. And then not to mention the more sort of subjective things like they felt better, they could think more clearly, they were in a better mood when they went home from work, like all of those kind of things. So, I mean, it's pretty compelling. And what I've done now is taken that concept of like the physical activity movement break to even just a mental break. So if your job is really active, maybe you just need to sit and meditate. Or I know you're really passionate about people getting outdoors, right? Like even just getting outside. Normally when you're outside, you're usually moving, right? Or even if you're not, you're sitting in, taking in nature, and you're just got to change the scenery. You can take some nice deep breaths. So I've kind of taken that concept and really expanded it to just really a reset in your day. So it's focused on the physical, but it can also just be a mental break, like I said, whether it's like a meditation, a restorative, laying on the floor with your feet up the wall, whatever it is, right? So just giving
Oh,
to do what your body needs. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I love that. I was listening to some of your videos on YouTube earlier this morning, and I I was telling my husband it was so funny. One of your exercises was writing your name with your butt because it
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
your
yeah.
hips
Bump
engaged.
spelling.
And I
Yeah.
was trying, and I was like, wow, it really gets like these joints moving that wouldn't normally be moving, right?
I-
And
Yeah.
I liked your idea of even like laying on your yoga mat and or doing child's pose or just just doing something different with your body, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And your eyes and your mind. And
Yeah.
yeah, even looking outside the window because your eyes again they're focusing farther and in nature the light's always changing rather than being inside where the light's always steady and you're just, you know.
Yeah.
So
There's some research showing that the instance of myopia, sort of, what is it, farsighted? I always get them mixed up, in kids is increasing because their
mm,
shape of their eyes are changing younger, right? They're starting to
yeah.
like sort of round, or I guess more oval shape younger, and they're noticing, like optometrists are noticing, this huge increase in the rates of like kids needing glasses because,
Oh wow.
I mean, think of that, like the physiological effects of that. And it's such a simple fix. We just need to
Yeah.
move, right? So, yeah.
So so how would that fit into a normal day? You mentioned that every 30 minutes is ideal, right? But up to about every 2 hours you still get a lot of benefits.
Absolutely. And I think it's sort of one of those sayings, like every little bit counts and then
Mm-hmm.
more is better. So if we start with one, you give yourself that one movement snack a day. And what I would say for, say, somebody maybe who's at home throughout the day, you may be naturally getting up to, maybe it's doing chores or even to use the bathroom or to have lunch or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're in an office environment, you might have little moments where you get up. But it's like if you notice that you've been sitting for more than, say, 30, 45 minutes, when we get our little reminder on our watches, right, to take those to heart. So even if it's just noticing, oh, I've been sitting a long time, I need to get up. But if you know you get too focused and you're not going to do that, then maybe another way you could do it is to say, okay, I'm going to pick an anchor in your day, right? Sort of like
Mm.
habit research on,
Habit stacking.
yeah, I'm gonna do like before my call with my boss, I'm gonna do a 5-minute walk because then it's gonna clear my head and I'm gonna be ready for the meeting. So you can anchor it,
Oh,
or
okay.
before I go pick my kids up from school, I'm gonna make sure I do, my maybe a mini little weights workout with some core and some wall push-ups, right? So we could,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the habit stacking is huge. And maybe it's enlisting the help of a buddy. Maybe it's, hey, we have a Zoom call at 3. Do you want to actually meet and walk together instead of meeting online, if that's a possibility? I mean, I live in in a small town and people are still inviting me to Zoom meetings. I'm like, no, I want to meet you in person. Let's go to the coffee shop. And then often we'll be like, hey, if it's weather's conducive and we have the right clothing on, because we live in Canada and it can get really cold here.
Yeah.
We'll do a little bit of a walking meeting if we don't need our computers, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of like that mindset of like, where can we fit it in? And
Mm-hmm.
so you have a movement snack planning tool that will be accessible to everyone who's listening. And that'll help kind of walk you through some of the ideas that work for you. Maybe it's a calendar
Oh,
invite.
perfect.
There's a bunch of different things. I think everyone's different. Some people like stickers, right? Some people like, to like set a goal for the week and check things off. So I feel like it could be the idea of this is partly to reflect and notice what your body needs, so that take that moment and go, oh, like I've been sitting all morning, I need to go burn some energy. Or, oh, I've been in a stressful call all day, I need to actually relax my nervous system, so maybe I need to, yeah, do a quiet meditation or put on some music and just dance, right? So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
creating there's nothing magical about it. It's just giving, again, like committing to yourself to notice. And my little banner behind me, it talks about embodied motion, and embodied meaning like being in tune with your body and your mind and how the movement actually affects you. So
Mm-hmm.
thing around, like, if you're already getting up and moving around, maybe it's a bit more intentional. Like, instead of going for a coffee, I'm going to walk to the end of the hallway and back 3 times, or I'm going to add, two more, 3 times up and down the stairs, and then I'll grab my coffee. So it's such a small thing, but it
Yeah.
really has a huge impact. So what I used to do, when I was working lots of hours at the computer, I would take my dog out and throw the ball, but sometimes I'd throw it like 2 times. And then I'm like, okay, it's cold, let's go in. Now I'm like, I set a timer. Let's do
Oh.
it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And then it's like, okay, she gets more playtime. I get more time outside, right? And then I get back,
Mm-hmm.
I feel more refreshed. I feel clearer headed, and I can be more efficient in my work.
I love the idea of setting a timer. Because
Yeah.
I have to come up with all kinds of little life hacks for myself because I tend, I have a history of depression and I tend to get hyper focused sometimes. I can just, if I'm in on my phone, if I don't have a reason to get up, I could be there for hours. And so I came up
Right.
with a trick for myself is I keep a gallon of water next to me and I just keep refilling my water. And then pretty soon I have to get up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And
love it.
then and then if you combine that with every time I get up, I'm gonna do some weights. Like I have these little 8 pound weights. I brought them here for our call, but I try to always
That's
keep them
not so
next to me.
little. 8-pound weights is no joke, especially.
Actually, I was gonna order 5 pounds, but they were out of them. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, what 8 pounds? All the better, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I love, the idea of just make whatever accommodations you need to for yourself like
Yeah.
that. And how soon do people typically notice results? Is it right away or is it over time?
Well, the simplest way to do it would be to do my stop, breathe, notice routine. So we could try it right now if you want. So basically, I'll just get everyone to think about you can stand up if you want to. And it's always good to stand up to get out of your chair for our hips. Again, like
Mm-hmm.
we're not made to sit in chairs at this 90-degree angle. So anytime we can get them straight up or even like hugging them in to
Okay.
that range of motion is great. So standing up. And then stopping, taking a few deep breaths in. So let's take a deep inhale. Inhale as much air as you can, then sip in a little more air, then open your mouth and sigh it all out. And let's do one more time. Take a deep breath in. Inhale, sip one more little breath of air in, and then sigh it all out. And then just go back to your normal breathing, but do a scan. Do a scan of your body. Do a scan of your mind. So are you feeling any aches and pains, stiffness? Do you feel pretty loose in your body? Does your mind feel like it's racing? Does it feel calm? And how's your mood? So if we do this, where we kind of do a little bit of a check-in, then it'll be like, okay, then we do the movement snack, and then we do that again. So your question
Oh.
about when do you get benefits? You get benefits instantly, but you also get them then to stack up over time, right? So you might not
Mhm.
become more fit after one movement snack, but your mind is going to be clearer,
Okay.
and metabolism will be kind of going. And then
Yeah.
over a month of doing that, you may find, oh, like I was doing 3 push-ups or 2 squats. Now I can do 5 or 10, right? So I think it's
Yeah.
it's all in the consistency of the habit as
I
we
see.
know,
Yeah.
right? But yeah,
Yeah, that
but the
makes
nice part
sense.
about it is even if you just do it once, you're still going to benefit from it. So
I
yeah,
love that. And I mean, that was a huge revelation when you mentioned how it can affect your blood sugar even that day, right? And
totally.
I can imagine over time that could even make a difference in someone developing blood sugar issues or possibly even something like diabetes that's lifestyle related
Yeah,
or not,
exactly.
which
Exactly.
is
And it
huge because it's
And
free,
actually,
right?
in the study, the Columbia study, there were people that reduced their risk that went off medication, like blood pressure medication.
Wow.
If you think about that again, and even if you don't necessarily lose weight, just the movement itself has a protective effect. So we all hyper focus on like the kind of weight loss thing, but physical
Yeah.
activity itself is beneficial. It doesn't, regardless of your body composition, just get some movement into your day. Yeah. There's a podcast series, which I'll send you the link to, called Body Electric, and I think it's through like the NPR.
Hmm.
And she did this whole series and then dove right into all this research, and they interviewed a whole bunch of people from this study that they did at Columbia, and then they encouraged
Hmm.
listeners to come and try movement snacks and report back. And it's pretty compelling. So if anybody's not sure, you can listen to this while you're on a walk, and then you
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
can kind of decide for
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
I love that. I'll definitely
Yeah.
include the link in the show notes after
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you
I'll
send
send
that
you
to me.
that. Yeah. Yeah. It's super
So,
cool.
do you have like a client story or example that of some of their benefits that they've noticed?
Yeah. I can think of which one I want to share. Um, I think just kind of going back to some of the testimonials of the workplace challenge that I've helped to offer, where People just were so grateful. They said like they had reduced their back pain. They had, yeah, like they went and played with their kids or their dog for those 5 minutes, and it increases their, social connections throughout the day.
Oh,
People went outside and chopped wood. Some people went outside and had a snowball fight with their
yeah.
their kids. So I think it's more just like those individual testimonials that, yeah, people are just really grateful for the reminder, right?
Yeah, yeah, because it can be easy to feel like you're like it's not going to make that much of a difference. Because
Right.
I've been starting to incorporate this into my life for probably a month, maybe a month or two now. And then I got sick for like a week and I was just completely out of commission and it's hard to get back into it. And
Yeah.
being out of the habit again, it's easy to think, oh well, like what difference is a wall push-up going to make while I'm like because I had started incorporating things like squats or wall push-ups or like leaning against the counter and doing push-ups or running up
Yeah.
and down the stairs while my coffee's brewing or something like that. But um it's sort of it's deceptively, it's sort of counterintuitive. You don't feel like you're doing very much. So it's really
Right.
good to have the education to realize that you really those things really are what make the difference long term.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the habits. And oh yeah, because when I was going up and down the stairs all the time, um, just like when I wouldn't normally need to, I noticed over time that it was a lot easier. I could do it, like you said earlier, I could do more squats than I could starting out.
Yeah.
And it's like I haven't even been going to the gym or anything, and I'm getting
Yeah.
stronger. It's kind of a mind trip.
That's so amazing. And I think we should celebrate that because I feel like in the social media, all we look at is like get a better body in 20 days of whatever
Yeah.
it does, right? Wall Pilates or doing this 21-day push-up challenge or something like that. And like those are all great and fine, but we then it feels like people are having to take this huge leap as opposed to these small little incremental steps, which we know the research tells us, but yet as a society, for some reason, we always want to go for like the big goal. It's like all or nothing.
Yeah.
Go
Right.
for an hour, then I won't even bother. And we know even with nutrition, even with water, anything, if we can make the small change that we can actually stick to, that can lead, that itself has the benefit, but then it can also lead to other habits, right? And once we feel a little bit of
Yeah,
success,
exactly.
then we keep going, right? And so the nice thing for you, oh, you had a week off. Okay. Well, it's really
Mhm.
easy to just add 5 more minutes onto my stairs again to get back. It's
Yeah.
like going back to the gym and feeling like you need to get back to exactly where you were at on your
Uh-huh.
5K or 3 mile run,
Right.
whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so what would you say? You must have run into this with people, but to someone who feels overwhelmed or self-conscious or tired or
Mhm.
discouraged, what would you say to them um, to help them get going, or maybe to make it more enjoyable rather than just another chore?
Yeah. I think like finding something you love to do and that
Mm,
you enjoy. So think of the last time maybe where you were doing some activity. Maybe it was a walk in nature. Maybe it was like at a wedding dance, right? Like how often do we go dancing? But yet when we do it, it's so much fun. Like why don't we do this more often? Maybe you just need to put on a song and just like sway back and forth. Like I feel like again, if people haven't been active for a really long time, maybe they're feeling like they've gained weight or they're just really out of shape and out of touch with their body, that you congratulate yourself on taking that step, right? And that's not,
mm,
it's going to be a slow journey, but it's like stick with it and celebrate every moment of it, right? And that's that whole embodied thing. Like we lose connection, and actually technology interferes with that connection between our brain and our body. It's called interoception, and it's like we've
mm.
broken that connection. And so some people like feel a stretch, they feel pain, but it's actually no, that's your muscle stretching, like that's normal, but they don't even know that feeling.
Wow.
They just haven't moved for so long, right? And I mean, I've just very simple, I've been doing a Pilates teacher training, and I'm loving it because Pilates is so much about mindfulness and awareness of your body. um, the classical Pilates that I'm doing. And so there's there's a stretch called the spine stretch where you're literally just sitting on the floor. You reach your arms over your head, lift up, and just roll your spine forward, and then stack your spine back up again. And people, if you put yourself, if you
Mm.
put back against the wall and try to press your lower back into the wall, you'll notice like, oh, my spine was not doing that before. My spine forgot
Wow.
how to do that. And so it helps you to not
Oh, wow.
like you're going from here to here, you're going from lower back to middle all the way up, right? And it's just
Oh,
like
yeah,
the light bulb moments that go on from that is in
yeah.
itself, like if we just had everybody do that, I mean, you would feel like, oh, yeah, I just need to do that once a day.
Yeah. Well, I
Over,
mean, if
right?
anyone's, yeah, I would say if anyone's ever in the audience has ever been to a chiropractor or anything like that, I used to go to a chiropractor regularly, and it can make such a huge difference just to be in alignment, you
Right.
know. It, I mean, it can
Yeah.
change your everything, your energy, your digestion, um, all
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Yeah, but then if
Eh,
you're doing that adjustment now, like let's get some movement to reinforce that. So let's
Well, yeah, I was just thinking that if you know what you just described is kind of like your own adjustment. You're putting yourself into alignment.
absolutely is. Yeah, it's so simple, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I love how simple it can be.
yeah, yeah.
Can you tell
So
me more about? Oh, no, go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was just gonna say, so something that I think would be great to just introduce even for your listeners is a few upper body stretches. Do you mind if I do a couple right now?
No, I'd love that.
Okay, so if you want to follow along, you can, or you can just watch and then try it on your own. But I love just the idea of standing up, like I said, do your check-in, notice how your body's feeling. And then we can just do a simple like Y, so bring your arms up to a Y and then drop them down into a W. And you'll notice your shoulder blades come up and then your shoulder blades go down back into your back pocket, right? And then let's do another Y and another W. Good. And then take your arms out into a T. Now we're opening up through the chest, that whole area where we want to hunch forward when we're sitting. Squeeze those shoulder blades together and then bring those arms forward and round your back. And then we'll go back out into your T, open up, and then rounding back forward. And one more time up. This time, bring your arms back up into an I. Now we're reaching overhead. Obviously, if you have shoulder injuries, you can do this with a bent arm or you can do your hands down. And now do a little twist. So take one arm forward, one arm back. Look over your shoulder if your neck feels okay. And then coming up and look over the other shoulder. And then back. And then bring your hands down. And then if you're standing, you can like do a like nice little extension with your calf. You can't really see me here, but stretching out the legs as well, because those hip flexors get so tight when we sit. And then do the same thing on the other side. And then you could even do like a press forward. So you're just leaning down and letting your head hang through your arms. And then I would finish with a nice huge full body stretch. So you get a nice back extension and then dive your head forward, round yourself down, shake out your head and then roll your spine back up one vertebra at a time, all the way up. Oh my gosh, this feels so good. I hope you're all trying it with me right now. Reach your arms up and then come back. And like we just went through pretty much every range of motion, every joint in our body. What was that, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right?
Wow.
So I
Even just
think,
sitting down and following along,
right?
it's so invigorating.
It isn't it?
You
It's just
forget how good it can feel to move,
like
to stretch.
with Joseph Pilates, not to like bring in my Pilates, but I'm kind of obsessed with it right now. But he talks about an internal shower. And when we move and we get that circulation going, right? Even twisting is like wringing out our
Yeah.
spine. And again, it's like
Oh,
how our
yeah.
bodies are meant to move, but yet we don't do it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's not magic. There's
So
nothing
simple, so
magic about
fast.
those things, but we just
Yeah.
need somebody like me and someone like you to kind of advocate for it and get the word out, right?
Yeah, it's like there's nothing magical about it, and yet there is.
True.
It's amazing. So, um, I was I love how I know that embodied motion means a lot to you. Can you expand a little bit about what that means to you?
All right, sure. Yeah. So when I was working about 10 years ago or so, I was working with some sport organizations, and then we came to celebrate this concept of physical literacy. And physical literacy
Mm,
was a term created by a philosopher in the UK, Dr. Margaret Whitehead, and it was about the monoism, like the connection between your body and mind and how they're interlinked, as opposed to treating them separately. They're interwoven with each other. And so that idea of developing the skills, the confidence, and the motivation to be physically active for life and engaging in physical activities for the social, physical, emotional, like not just the fit fast first. I want to get abs and I want to, it's the need for us to move as human beings for the health of our bodies. And so when I think about the embodied motion and why my company is called Meaningful Movement is because like we can move mindlessly. We can make ourselves a slave in the gym and run on a treadmill. I always think of the Andre Agassi, when I read his biography, how he talked about how he hated tennis because of just the ways
Oh,
forced him to do it and he just thought it was a chore. So that's not embodied movement. Embodied movement would be like, I am going for a walk outside and I'm going to take in nature. I'm going to notice the sights and the smells and I'm going to notice how my body feels better. And so all of that stopping, checking in before, checking in after, and noticing, as opposed to like, I'm in the rat race and I'm going to do my 30, like my adrenaline's already up all day long as a CEO of a company or as a professional. And then I'm going to go for a run.
yeah,
I'm going to add more cortisol and more intensity. Like that is not what
right.
needs right now. Right. So I don't know if that makes sense. Like that sort of
It
idea,
totally makes sense. Yeah.
intentional about it. And we're noticing the effects on our body. So when I just redid my website, we redesigned the themes for the movement snacks on the elements. So I don't know if you noticed that, but there's like fire, air, water, earth, and ether. And
Yes, I was wondering about
about
that.
that, yeah.
The,
So if you think about that, like we talk about fire as like we need a fire snack. Maybe we need to fire up our core. Maybe we need to do some
okay.
like punching. Maybe we need to do some running, right? We
Yeah.
talk about grounding. So maybe like what we just did, we're standing with our feet in the earth, or maybe our feet are outside on a cold patio or
Oh,
grass, and then we're doing those stretches, right? Maybe water is more flowy, so maybe it's a yoga flow, or maybe it's again like swaying to music, and then air would be like that playful element. So I really
wow.
love that idea of like, again, just what does your body need right now? And
Mm-hmm.
give it that, right? And that's a lot of like, you probably know about Ayurveda and Ayurvedic
Mm-hmm.
principles as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of medicine talks a lot about that, right? About like
Yes.
balancing out
I think
your
that's
dosha,
brilliant.
right? Yeah.
To attach that to different kinds of movement. I've never heard that before. That's really helpful because sometimes I struggle in the days. It's like, okay, what do I do? Do I do squats? Do I do push? Do I do, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially if I'm kind of not, I'm sort of, my mind is elsewhere. It's like, well, there's so many choices. Where do I begin? And that's one way that you can ask yourself, well, which element do I need right now?
And the other thing you can do is go, which element do I need? And then also, how do I feel after that? Was that what I needed? Like if you always
Oh.
fire and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try like an air, I'm gonna try a playful one. Like maybe I'm gonna, do some tag with my kids, or maybe I'm gonna, yeah, like I said, put on a dance video or to a TikTok challenge or something. I don't know. Last challenge
Yeah.
was balancing on one leg. Anyway, maybe you're doing something like that. Maybe you're doing goat yoga, who knows? But whatever it is, and you notice how you feel after that. So there's kind of both, right? It's like, what does my body need now? And then did that kind of
Did
have
that have,
you know,
yeah.
right? So, because
Yeah.
sometimes we gravitate to what we think we need to,
Yeah.
where, oh, I think I should do push-ups because I haven't done push-ups in 3 days. But
Right.
maybe your muscles are really sore and maybe you actually do need it to just lay out on your foam roller and open up your chest, or vice versa, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, do you have, how do you, like, how do you notice for yourself? You have a lot of experience with this. So how do you tell what you need rather
Ooh,
than probably being mental about it?
yeah, I think it's like some of it is honestly like some of it comes with age, I think, where you're like,
Mm.
oh, like you go through um this phase, in the younger years where I was like all about the fitness and all about like, not just teaching classes, but like everything high intensity, right? Everything is like as hard as you can. And then it's like, oh, my body feels a little tired. It's not recovering the same as it used to. I'm wondering if I would have listened to my body sooner and younger, that if that would have been, I would have been able to kind of, if that would have changed. But I do think we as women are cyclical through the
Hmm.
months go through the year, we're cyclical through our lives. And so as we go through, and I think most of your listeners are probably maybe not quite at menopausal or maybe just getting perimenopausal age, you'll start to notice that shift and listen to your body. And now I've noticed for me, I don't need or want as much of that high intensity exercise. I
Mm-hmm.
am gravitating more towards maybe longer slow duration or maybe more of a like a Pilates workout, but I feel really good, but I don't feel so sore after that. I'm physically and mentally exhausted, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like it's just body awareness of like, and then results
Yes.
like really good. Or sometimes I'm in a program like, well, I'm going to do this today, but I'm going to give myself permission to back off if it's not feeling good. Or I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
give myself permission to take an extra day of rest and yeah, just do movement snacks. But
Yeah.
one of the things I love, one of my guilty pleasures is learning a new either a line dance. I've gotten really into line dancing or just a TikTok video that I want to learn. And I'll use that as a reward. So I'll be like, okay, I'm going to
Oh.
work for 45 minutes on this project, and then I'm going to learn the first 16 counts of this TikTok dance or this line. And I end up like taking way more time because I'm having so much. Then I just keep going like, okay, I have to get back to work now. And so,
I
so
love that. I've
everybody
got to
else
try that. That sounds so fun.
right? It
I'm
is,
gonna
and
try that today.
it's good for your brain. Like you're thinking about something else.
Right.
Some for some people, it might be like learning a Tai Chi pattern, or it might be
Mm-hmm.
like it's everyone's different, right? Do you
Mm-hmm.
need something to take your mind away? Do you need to shut down? Sometimes when I try to be calm, that's hard to quiet the mind. Whereas if I can focus on something else that's different than what I was doing, right?
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
mindfulness versus like meditation kind of mode. I think
That
everybody.
makes sense.
The other one we didn't talk about yet is that social connection. Like, do you have a need to be with people and talk to people? So maybe it's phoning a friend and going for a walk. I know we're still using technology, but maybe it's that, right? It's like after this 45 minutes, I'm going to get this my finances done or my budget for the month or whatever, and then I'm reconcile my books, and then I'm going to call my best friend and I'm going to go for a walk and talk to her on the phone, right? So you could like
Yeah.
you got everybody's gonna have their own version of my line dancing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's gonna be a
Whatever it is
reward
that
for you,
makes you
right?
excited to do it. Yeah.
Yes. I personally love the TikTok idea.
Yeah,
That's
right.
that sounds fun to me. And
Yeah,
just real quick, I know we gotta wrap up, but younger women I think could also work that into what week they're in of their cycle.
absolutely.
Because if anyone out there hasn't heard about the book by Lucy Peach called Period Queen,
Yeah.
it's it's really helpful because it breaks down the energy of each of the 4 weeks of your cycle. There's the see if I could remember. There's the due week. That's where we're like super women, and where you just get all this energy. That's the week after your period. And then there's the give week where you're more nurturing and you have more to give emotionally. Then there's the take week, and that's where you need to let yourself rest. That's right before your period comes. And then there's I forget what she calls the week of the period, but they each have different energies, and so you could also be mindful of those energies, I would think, and what kinds of movement you might need.
I love that. And I feel like the awareness is growing so much around that and around women as, again, that cyclical being. And so different from men who can kind of do the same workout, do the same
Yeah.
type, maybe eating patterns and all of that, where I think but it comes back to tuning in and listening to your body. So even if
Yes.
you know what day of your cycle you were in, but you're like, I feel tired today, instead of pushing through, do that restorative movement snack, right? Don't do
Mm-hmm.
the push through I'm gonna go for my like fast run at lunchtime or whatever it is.
Right.
I think if I could give any advice to my younger self, I would say like that, right? Just listen and take the time when your body's telling you. But if we're not tuning in, then we don't even know, right? So you can
Right.
in and you can be like, well, okay, I feel tired today, but I know tomorrow I'm not going to have a lot going on, so I'm just going to do it today, but I know I have an extra day of rest versus just doing it anyways, not really thinking. So it's like whatever
Mm-hmm.
decision you're making, do it in a intentional and mindful way. And I think that
Yes.
awareness is the greatest agent of change, right? So if we're
Yes.
tuning in, then we're never going to be able to make that that decision. So
I love that part of your message. You talk about going from pressure to presence,
mm,
right? So did you already cover that, or can you tell
yeah,
us more about?
I think yeah, it is though, like we do put pressure on ourselves. And I think if we asked every one of your listeners like what they thought when we said the word exercise, we would probably all have a different theme. Some of us might feel like everything tightens up and like I hate it. And I remember the couple days from phys ed when I had to put on those horrible uniforms and the coach made us run for an hour and I felt so self-conscious.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like I loved it because I was an athlete and I want to work hard. Maybe it's like I've come to a place in my life where it's movement, it's breath body, right? What
Hmm.
is the way we're getting breath into our body? I love that about Ayurveda.
Mm.
And so I think it's moving from that, from like, was somebody telling us what to do and how to work out versus us listening and using movement as a vehicle for our like human development and our human capital. When people are more active, they not only are they healthier, but they most people who are more active actually earn more money. They have more social connections. They have a higher level of education. Like there's so many things that we can get benefits from, but it's not always on the Maslow's hierarchy, right? If we're having
Hmm.
putting food on the table, if we're having, relationship issues, things like that, it's not the first thing we go to. But
Yeah.
if we could find a way to, I'm feeling stressed, I've got everything down and out, we can all go for a walk. We can all stretch our bodies. It doesn't feel like maybe we have the luxury of doing that, but
Yeah.
our bodies are and our minds are connected, right? So
Absolutely.
playing with your kids, who doesn't start laughing every time I do like I'll start with an icebreaker and everybody feels super awkward with it, but then they all start laughing, right? And the energy in the
Yeah.
room goes up because you had to interact with someone else, and that social connection that we're missing so much of too in our technology filled lives. So I mean, I just think it ticks all the boxes.
Yeah. I love that. And
Yeah. But
yeah,
I
my
appreciate you asking about that though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean what you were saying about before you know it, you're laughing if you're interacting with a child or an animal or something, my husband helps one of our neighbors by walking the dog, and every time he comes over for a visit, I just end up in a completely different mood,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
can't not. It's impossible, and you end up getting exercise too because you're running around with them, and I just
Totally.
yeah, it's really all encompassing
Yeah.
the benefits that you can get
Yeah.
because you actually start to change your identity, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think,
Totally.
how it can start to affect the other areas of your life.
That
So
is so powerful, that idea that you can see and tell, like, think of yourself as an active person, as a like
yes.
being that moves, right? That move
Hmm.
integral into our lives. It's not just something we layer onto it, but we are meant to move, we're born to move. And that's one of the, I think, key messages, right? It's like forget about the exercise outcomes. If that's not, you're not currently active, just think of how you can move your body throughout the day. Yeah.
Yes, I remember one of my friends who's in she's she's like a life coach, and
Yeah.
she said that depression is a lack of movement. And so even physical movement, even though it's physical, it can actually affect your energy too. And I mean, in more than one way, it can affect your mental state too and get things moving, get
It's
unstuck.
like to the point where there is research on like people reducing their medication because when they're getting into like a good exercise routine. In my specialization through the Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology, they now have a specialty on exercise and depression because
Wow.
the value is like it's so powerful. Yeah, we could talk about almost any disease or any ailment that affects us, and we could say that exercise could be a part of the cure or a full cure. And I'm not exaggerating. Like that's not it. That sounds like a crazy claim, but it's actually not. But it
No,
to be
there's a
big,
lot behind
five
it.
minutes. Like start with 5 minutes. Start with one.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, like what we did earlier was just
Yeah,
1 or 2 minutes. And I
yeah,
know there is a lot of evidence behind that, a lot of science
yeah,
behind that. And again, I'll include the link to that NPR show
yeah.
that
I'll
you
for sure.
mentioned.
Yeah.
And so if someone takes just one thing from our conversation today, what would you want it to be?
I would challenge you to reconnect with your body through taking a small movement break today. Yeah. See how
Wonderful.
start with one and then go from there. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Let's start the change today.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
that's so it's so empowering. It puts the power in your hands. Leah, this has been so inspiring. Thank you so much for helping us see how simple and refreshing movement can be for all of us. For everyone listening, Leah has generously created a free resource to help you get started. This is a movement snack planning tool. Can you tell us about that freebie that you have for us?
Yeah, for sure. So I think like a lot of things we've been talking about, this idea of a movement snack is easy to understand, is easy to value, but it's harder to actually implement. So I wanted to put together something to make it easier based on our conversation of like where do we start? So the planning tool starts with just a little bit of information about movement snacks, about how to do a movement snack. So we did the stop, breathe, and then notice reflection.
Yes.
And I have a planning tool on like based on the research on like how can you stack your habits? How can you plan it into your week? What are some tools that will work for you? And then you can reassess yourself at the end of each week or each month and celebrate your progress.
Exciting. Thank you for that generous offer. And so we'll have the link to that in the show notes. And also, can you tell us where people can find you and join your email list?
Yeah, absolutely. It's at meaningfulmovementsolutions.com, and there will be a banner that will come up. You can sign up for my newsletter, and I'll be sharing lots of more tips on integrating movement into your day, and then also actual movement snacks. So my goal is to start filming some more movement snacks, so you'll have more ideas if you want some variety, and then you want to, yeah, just plug in 5 minutes, then you can just do that, and you won't have to think about it. We'll just do it.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already have a few on YouTube and on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they're very fun. I really love your passion, and you make it fun and inspiring, and you really help people remember how important it can be as well. So thank you again for your time, your passion, and for helping us all move through life with a little more ease and intention.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm so glad you found me, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you. And I would be happy to help you and any of your audience if they have questions about movement snacks. I'm here to help.
Thanks for spending time with me on New View, New Life. If this spoke to you, be sure to follow along so you don't miss the next episode, and share it with a friend who'd enjoy it too. This show is made possible through my work with doTERRA. If you're curious about simple, natural ways to care for your health and home, or even exploring the possibility of building your own wellness business, check out my website at newviewessentials.com. You'll find a link in the show notes to learn more. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk next time on New View, New Life.
The sky turns gold where the mountains sleep. A whisper of truth in the wind so deep. Every step feels like a brand new start. New horizons call my name. Nothing stays the same. Change the view, change the game. The river knows where it needs to flow. The seeds we plant in time life's a path, not a map to hold. New horizons call my name. Nothing stays the same. Change the view, change the game.